A growing number of Georgia parents are alleging school districts are violating federal law by failing to provide special education services. This is behind the investigation. I'm investigative reporter Sierra Cummings, and I've got Andy Parati, who did a wonderful job at investigating this story. Andy, you've done some work with special education already, so I'm assuming that kind of was the catalyst to wanting to dive deeper into this issue.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Last year, I did a number of stories involving Georgia's literacy crisis, where only about 70% of Georgia fourth graders could not read proficiently. And so doing those stories, I met a number of parents that had children with special needs. And I'm not talking about severe special needs where maybe someone is autistic and they can't even speak, but I'm talking about, things like just dyslexia. And so speaking to some of those parents, they were telling me, hey, we're trying to get these resources from the school district that is required by law to help our child with these very specific type of needs. In the school districts, and according to our investigation, there are a rising number of school districts that are allegedly not following the law.
Call to order for the Fayette County Board of Education.
It's no secret
We all know what's right.
what Chip Glazer thinks about the Fayette County School District
Parents are done accepting temporary Band-Aids,
and its special needs education program.
and I'm here to speak about the ongoing crisis with Exceptional Children's Services.
Speaking at every school board meeting,
Mr. Glazer, you're up first. Mr. Glazer, Mr. Glazer, Mr. Glazer.
over the past 8 months.
Fayette County might be a great school district for the overachievers, but they stink at the special needs kids, and they try to push them out.
They're just sharp in my senses.
Megan is Chip's daughter. The 18-year-old wrestles with a rare cognitive gene disorder that makes it difficult for her to learn.
You should have seen me.
It also impacts her eating habits.
Megan's brain doesn't talk to her stomach, and so she could eat herself to death if left unchecked.
Over the past 4 years, Chip and Megan's mother have asked the district to provide their daughter with a one-on-one paraprofessional to help her throughout the school day, a resource Chip says is not only required under the law, but something other districts provide to students with similar needs. The district has repeatedly denied their request.
They do everything in their power to not provide the services required by a free and appropriate education.
Georgia's Code of Ethics.
Chip hired an attorney in 2022 to help resolve their dispute with the district. But afterwards, he claimed school officials stopped cooperating with Megan's individualized education plan, delayed meetings, and then something they didn't see coming: a visit from Child Protective Services to investigate alleged maltreatment.
What was your reaction when you got that visit?
Stunning, and then with anybody, embarrassing, but then you realize why it happened. And it's all in a series of retaliatory process against us because we advocate for our child.
According to agency records, the district alerted Child Protective Services because Megan pulled the fire alarm and made suicidal statements. The district claimed her parents refused to take their daughter for a mental health evaluation.
That is 100% false. They knew we had an appointment the next week, and we told them that.
Robin Painter is the family's attorney. She worked with the U.S. Department of Education for more than a decade.
It's typical. I was not surprised. I see that with parents whose child, for whatever reason, is posing a difficulty with the district.
And Atlanta News' first investigation found a growing number of Georgia parents who say their school districts are violating the law by failing to provide required special education services. Georgia Department of Education records show formal complaints against school districts have more than doubled in recent years, from 156 in 2021 to 318 last year. In fiscal year 2025, the state found districts were out of compliance 190 times. Robin says she's getting more calls from parents than her law firm can handle.
And we're not talking about, a child who maybe, just needs extended time on tests. People don't call me unless they're facing some real serious situations. And unfortunately, I've had to turn people away.
At Fayette County School Board meeting in December,
Good evening.
Chip wasn't the only parent frustrated with inadequate resources for their child.
I'm a proud mom of a smart dyslexic child in Fayette County that has been failed.
These are not abstract failures. They show up as harm to real children and real classrooms. You need to start asking serious questions about how this district is treating special education families.
Fayette County Schools did not respond to the parents' claims. Child Protective Services declined to pursue the case against Chip and his wife, and he's not stopping his public pleas for change.
We've been consistently denied essential services for my daughter.
Do you think they're getting tired of you?
Of course they are.
Are you going to stop?
No.
The community is watching. More importantly, our children are counting on you.
Andy, Chip is so persistent. Yeah, he's really got that resilience, and I'm sure his daughter would appreciate someone fighting for her. You've got some other data that really highlights broader perspective on this topic.
Yeah, so there's something called a due process hearing. This essentially is when a parent files a formal complaint, like our story mentioned. If no solution is found there, sometimes what they do is they go to kind of like an administrative law court, and they say, we're filing something to compel the school district to give us the resources to do additional evaluations because we think that the resources that they're offering my child isn't enough or not correct. So we're going to ask a mediator to make that determination to find out whether the school district is violating the law or following the law or should be providing these resources. We found through our public records request there's an increase in those due process hearings, and a lot. We're talking about like over 140% increase since 2021, and the numbers now exceed pre-pandemic numbers. And due process hearings is like the most sort of like, when it raises to that level, that means that it's a serious issue where the state has not been able to find a solution for the parent in the school district. And they're now asking for this mediator to make that determination.
Speaking of that, the total number of complaints, when we're looking at data, just the specific number does matter, but the trends tell an even more compelling story. And so we see that there seems to be a high volume of complaints, but year to year, the story that's being told, it seems, is that those numbers are increasing. I think it was just maybe 1 year, it wasn't a big increase here. Do we know any specific reason why those numbers are increasing?
So the records that we received don't clearly provide a clear one answer reason of why these numbers are going up. But in our records request, we received a presentation that was presented to staff within the Georgia Department of Education. And there's a few things that caught my eye that I thought was very interesting. The number of complaints submitted by school staff is actually increasing. So these are teachers in many cases submitting a complaint saying, my own school isn't doing enough to help this child. And we're also seeing more school districts that had never received a formal complaint about trying to provide resources for children. Now, all of a sudden, they're seeing complaints. So we're seeing just not only a trend of overall complaints going up, but we're seeing more staff members, people within the system, raising the alarm saying, we need to fix this. In some cases, that could mean sort of whistleblowers in some instances trying to get their school district to do the right thing for a child in their classroom.
And that is really important data because you would expect a parent to file a complaint because if your parent's not your advocate, who else will be? But to know that there is actually staff, teachers who have more insight on the day-to-day of what's going on in the class or actually filing those complaints, that really is important to this story.
And Sarah, I want to just make sure people know this, that even though these numbers, you may look at these numbers and go, they've increased dramatically, but it's only a couple hundred out of the, hundreds of thousands of students in the state of Georgia. But most parents don't know that there's a process to do this, to file a formal complaint, to file a due process hearing request. To me, and to many experts, the indication is that there are many more parents suffering from this issue. They simply don't have the tools or know-how to do the things to compel the school district to follow the law by filing those formal complaints. So we actually think that the numbers are much higher, but you're just looking at the numbers or someone actually documented.
Yeah, so likely conservative estimates here. I know we still haven't heard back from the school district, but this story did well online. Any folks reaching out to you, and really happy that you've shared this topic?
Yeah, parents from across the state have said, please continue this reporting. We're going to call this series of stories eventually, because I got one coming down the pipe very soon that's really compelling. It's denied by design, because the parents really feel like it's a systemic issue, excuse me, of school districts in their mind purposely not doing what should be done in many of these cases. But yeah, I probably I probably had about a dozen parents from a school across the state reach out to me.
As always, excellent reporting. Thanks so much, Andy. Thank you for tuning in to Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates. For more on this story, go to atlantanewsfirst.com and click on the A&F Investigates tab. You can listen to more award-winning investigations wherever you get your podcasts by searching Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First. And tune in Sundays for an hour-long episode of Uncovered, where we highlight some of our biggest investigations that impact our communities.